Well, hey everyone, welcome to the AccuShield podcast. I'm Deontay Davis, VP of Sales here, and today I'm joined by Justin Stein from Bickford. So Justin, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell a little bit more about why you're here?
Yeah, my name is Justin Stein. I'm the Chief People Officer at Bickford Senior Living, and I'm here at the Staffing Innovation Workshop to speak a little bit about our, trials, tribulations, and successes as it relates to staffing over the last couple of years.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to have you here, and we'll go ahead and dive right into it.
Yeah, my first podcast, so I'm excited to
I'm honored
get to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm honored to be the first one to host you, so
awesome.
Let's dive into it.
Let's do it.
To kick it off, would love to just hear a little bit more about your story, how you got into senior living, and what's made you stay in.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey. I have a story that's probably very similar to a lot of folks who get into senior living. I didn't do it on purpose. This is an industry that folks often tend to find their love for seniors and stick around. For me, I went to college for psychology, didn't know what I wanted to do after I left school, and came back for a summer to my home in Phoenix and spent the summer just hanging out with my grandmother in her assisted living community. And through that, I found this deep love for older people and the assisted living industry. And she passed away that October, and the executive director asked me to stay on as a caregiver. So my first role in senior living was 2009 as a caregiver. And since then, I've touched every department within senior living, with the exception of maintenance. They don't let me mess around with the hammer at the community, which is probably a good thing. Yeah. But now I'm currently serving as the Vice President of People, Chief People Officer for Bickford Senior Living. And what keeps me here is the same thing that brought me here. One of the things that I just so greatly appreciated and connected with was the love of the caregivers and that love that they shared with my grandmother. And they made her passing and honored her life with such dignity and respect. And for me, I now get to be the caregiver of our caregivers. So I get to invest in the folks who are caring for seniors. Yeah. And it's an odd journey because the further I've gone in senior living, the further I get away from spending time with residents every day. But what really fills my cup at this point is I get to invest in the people who are investing in our residents.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we got to visit Corso, Atlanta.
We did
yesterday.
Oh gosh, beautiful community,
luxurious community.
Yeah,
and you got to interact with some residents there.
I did. So, I got to fill my cup a little bit with some residents. So
how often are you going into communities now, getting to interact with residents, talk to teams, all that?
Yeah, it varies based off the month and the need. So I was really fortunate last month. I was actually on the road traveling in our communities 3 weeks out of 4 weeks in May. Okay. Hit our communities in Virginia and Michigan, and it varies. Sometimes I'm there once a month. Sometimes, depending on the season, it might be once a quarter.
Nice. Okay. And so, doing a little bit of digging on your LinkedIn, on your background.
Okay.
You spent some time at Brookdale.
I did spend a little time in Brookdale.
Obviously, biggest senior living company, in the United States, right? And so talk to me a little bit about what that experience was like being there compared to Bickford, which is more regional player, correct? About 60 communities that you guys have?
That's correct.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
Yeah, so first off, I loved my time at Brookdale. My time at Brookdale made me who I am. Brookdale is a great organization, bringing folks in who are passionate about senior care and then growing them, developing, teaching. So I started at Brookdale in 2012 as a sales counselor. And when I left Brookdale in 2021, I was the district director of operations over 14 of their locations within the Phoenix market. And one of the things that I think is a stark difference and something that I have actually grown to appreciate is although Brookdale, there's tons of resources and there's tons of opportunity to fit within their system, there's not a lot of opportunity to change and innovate and move quickly. Yeah. And that's just the nature of working for a publicly traded company with 75,000 associates across the country, right?
Especially in senior living.
Especially in senior living. So I during the pandemic started to see, hey, there's a different way of doing senior living. And I didn't feel as empowered to be able to make some of those changes at Brookdale. So I heard the Bickford story, and they actually had reached out to me. I wasn't looking, and I had a chance to get a little bit more of an understanding of who Bickford was and joined them as a divisional operator out of Michigan and Indiana. And then last year, they tapped me on the shoulder and asked me to come to our corporate offices in Kansas City and do this people thing. And the great thing, to kind of speak to what I shared about Brookdale not being as agile, the great thing about Bickford is we are very agile.
That's great.
And when we see that there's an issue, there's not a bureaucratic process to fix it. It's, we need to fix this issue for our residents, for our employees. Let's find the solution. So that's been the biggest change and adjustment, going from large to smaller.
Yeah, which ties very greatly into what we're talking about here at the workshop, which is staffing, right? We know coming out of COVID, this has been pretty much the biggest issue that the industry has faced, which is, how do we get people internally to make sure that they're taking care of residents, and what does that process look like? So tell me a little bit more about, why you decided to come to the Healthcare Staffing Innovation Workshop and what you're looking to do here and what you're looking to gain as well.
Yeah. So I happen to be speaking and sharing some of our experiences at Bickford and some of our challenges and opportunities and wins over the last year or so. But I'm not here to give information as much as I am here to collaborate with others. Yeah. Because one of the things that we have not done incredibly well in the senior living space is kind of open our doors and collaborate with other operators. We do it our way. It's our proprietary information. It's our process. And we have 10,000 seniors a day, or 10,000 people a day turning 65 through 2029. So that baby boomer generation is rapidly aging.
Yeah, silver tsunami.
Yeah, the silver tsunami, that's right. And we don't have enough folks within the industry to care for the needs of our residents, period. So we have to be able, as an industry, to say, hey, we're going to do things a little bit different. We're going to open the doors to attract the new generation of caregivers into the industry. We can't do that insulated. Yeah. So I'm here to build partnerships, to hear what other folks are doing, and to open those doors, because we will, as an industry, see challenges and setbacks unless we as a group can partner together and make big changes.
Yeah, that's great. And that's really a big reason why AccuShield, everyone knows us as the sign-in kiosk company, why we've delved into the staffing, the scheduling side of things, because a lot of our partners, we work with about 7,000 total communities in the United States. The big thing that they've come to us and told us is that, hey, our shifts aren't getting filled, we're having trouble recruiting, retaining staff, what can you guys do to help this? And so that's why we've made our stamp and delved into this side of the space to help make sure that these residents ultimately are taken care of and to help solve a need that our partners really need help with. So it's pretty awesome. So you guys have built an internal agency.
We have built an internal agency.
Yep. And so talk to me a bit about that and how that's helped transform and change the game for you guys.
Yeah, and to your point, I'm glad you're in the staffing space now, because we know in senior living, if staffing's not going particularly well, it's just issues down the line, right? So as it relates to our internal agency, it was really born out of things weren't going very well. However, we saw a need in another area of senior care, in home care, that we started to explore in 2021. And we were finding that it was easier to recruit in the home care space than it was in the assisted living space. And then we're kind of ramping up operations in home care. We need to hire folks for clients, but we don't have clients yet. So what do we do with those folks? How do we pay them for work when we don't have clients yet? So we really kind of clung on to this idea of, well, maybe we can cross-utilize them and into assisted living and start to bring our agency spend down. So from there, May of last year, we started partnering with BookChain, which is now AccuShield Flex, here in North America or United States. And they had that internal agency portal that really brought it all together and made it very, very easy, where we have a home care location in the Chicago market. We have several Chicago-based communities. If internally one of our employees can't pick up that shift, it will automatically send that out to our home care team, and they can pick up that shift. And that essentially saves us between $20 and $30 an hour in agency spend.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has been a complete game changer for us on both ends is, number one, our agency spend is decreasing exponentially. We are experiencing close to a 75% reduction in agency spend year over year. But on top of that, we're starting to scale our home care business at a higher level because we're hiring caregivers who are working in assisted living. And although our caseload is not where it needs to be to staff that many caregivers, they have work in the assisted living. So as more clients come on, they just start to fall more into the home care space as well. So we're scaling our business. We're eliminating agency spend. It's been a win-win for us.
Yeah, it's really great to see how some groups are starting to create internal agencies and really consolidate, all these different aspects of senior living into one vertically integrated group. So it's pretty cool.
And I probably speak for most operators. We're not a huge agency fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And unfortunately, and I'll be very frank, over the last couple of years during the pandemic, there's some bad actors in the agency space who have taken our employees, who have charged us for those same employees coming back into our communities $20, $30, $40 more than what we were paying them. And they're taking that profit. That's not going to the caregiver. And for us, we had to make a change because our caregivers deserve to work with people who are there every day serving our residents, who are trained, and the quality of care is just not there when you have agency in your building.
Yeah, it's been a bit disheartening to see how agencies have kind of put a stranglehold on senior living in a sense, with some of the prices, price gouging, all that.
Yeah.
So,
and kudos to the state of Indiana that just recently is really starting to crack down on that with regulation. So I think you'll see a lot more of that as we come out of the pandemic, even more, and staffing starts to stabilize, that we look back at this time and say, hey, there's a lot of things that did not go the way they should have.
Yeah. And so even speaking to that point of what things look like in the future. So what do you see? How do you see senior living changing over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. I'm excited about how senior living is going to change in the next 5 or 10 years. I think we're entering into a time of very rapid growth and rapid innovation. We're experiencing that now. I mean, think of what senior living was like pre-pandemic versus today. I think we'll see a lot more embracing of technology. I think we're going to see AI enter our space on multiple levels. Even if we execute on building a value proposition to get people into the senior living space, that people really feel like, hey, I'm going to fulfill some of my purpose here, I don't know if we'll ever have enough folks to care for the population of seniors in the next 10, 15 years. So unless we really start to move into automation, staffing will continue to be a challenge. So I think we'll embrace technology. I think we'll start to rely more heavily on AI and automation. And for us, it's changing our model to complete flexibility.
Yeah. Actually, so talk about that. So what are some things that you guys are doing at Bickford to help, recruit staff, provide flexibility? What exactly does that look like?
Yeah. So one of the biggest initiatives that we've rolled out recently is daily pay. So our team members are able to access 100% of their earned wages at the end of each shift. And then you mix that with flex, and we're putting shifts out there on a Thursday for 4 hours, and someone's getting pinged on their app, and they're like, hey, I have a party to go to tomorrow night. If I pick up this shift today, I can press a button on my phone, show up to work for 4 hours. I get paid afterwards. I can go out with my friends on a Friday night. Or, hey, rent's due on the 2nd. I don't get paid to the 7th. I'm going to pull my paycheck early. And I have complete flexibility over my life. I have complete flexibility of when I'm going to go to work. I have complete flexibility on when I'm going to get paid. And we're really trying to create this environment where it's more of a gig economy within the senior living space.
Yeah. And when you think about Uber, you think about DoorDash, Uber Eats, all that, that's what they've done. And this generation, this economy today, people really want flexibility. And so, the way AccuShield is viewed is, how do we provide the opportunity for our customers and our partners to be able to give flexibility to their staff, because that's the way the world's going. And, it's important. And right.
Well, I think as a society are realizing that there's more to life than a 9 to 5. Yeah. And I love my 9 to 5. It's very few times is it 9 to 5. Yeah. But folks want to be able to be a part of life and live life outside of just work. And on a Tuesday, if something comes up in your life, our caregivers deserve to be able to take care of that and then come to work on their time. Yeah. And what needs to happen within our industry is a shift from that, oh my gosh, if we give our caregivers flexibility, nobody's going to show up, nobody's going to come work for us, who's going to care for our residents, to we have an industry full of purpose-driven people who care about seniors, and if we give them flexibility, they're going to show up for us. Yeah, and once we mentally make that shift as an industry, watch out. I mean, it will turn into one of the fastest growing sectors within the American workspace.
And I think, one thing about senior living that I really enjoy is that they put such an emphasis on culture. Us being able to talk with a bunch of different senior living groups and hearing them say that, they're looking for ways to provide flexibility or just, to retain staff, but also to provide a great experience, not just for the residents, but also for their staff members. It's pretty awesome, pretty great to hear and great to see.
Well, it's a trickle-down effect, right? So I've shared with you that I've got further and further away from residents as my career has gone by. But if you invest in your team, they will invest in your residents. Yeah. And culture of a community, of a company, is really contingent upon the leader who is representing that culture. You have the right leader in place who invests in their people and focuses just as much on the employees as they focus on the residents. It will pay off tenfold for them. I think we get so caught up on resident, and we box out the employee. But if we were more focused on the employee, that resident is going to be cared for much better.
So last question I got for you. What piece of advice would you give to your younger self as you're stepping into senior living and stepping into this space?
Fast forward through 2020 to 2023.
Yeah.
No, enjoy the ride. I mean, I think of what senior living was like when I started. I think of what it's like now, what it's going to be like 5 years from now. And there are some times in my career that I just didn't enjoy it because I was looking for the next thing. Yeah. What's the next goal, the next occupancy hurdle, the next labor hurdle, rather than just being around the people that I was serving with and taking that moment in and enjoying it, and being more present in the moment.
Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah.
Well, Justin, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Yeah,
Super
thank you.
To hear you speak, hear you talk at the workshop, and I think it's gonna be a great time.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.